I want to talk about my experience at Heartland, the place that I went to in November for a cancer retreat.
So I'm here at the center. Look at how pretty it is. Yeah.
I went there because my condition was not good and I really needed to focus. And I wanted something more affordable, something that was not too long. And most of the places that I saw were either Mexico or they were 3, 4 weeks long, or they cost 20s of thousands of dollars that I just couldn't afford. So my husband and I talked about it and we decided that I would take these 11 days time off of work and just go there by myself without him or the kids. And all I had to do was just focus on healing. Heartland is a lifestyle center. They also have the Heartland Institute, which is a school, and they're basically run by Seventh day Adventists. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically a sect of Christianity, very similar, but they focus a lot on health. And of course, you don't have to be a Christian to go there. But I picked it because number one, it was the perfect time frame for me. And also, it was pretty affordable. It was about 6,000 something dollars for the whole 11 days, including your own room. And so this was perfect in terms of the price range and the time for me. So I wish that anyone that gets diagnosed with cancer or any other chronic illnesses, if they would just go to a center like that and change everything, change their whole lifestyle, and see the difference that it makes, I feel like that would prevent people from rushing into treatment and allow them to have a clear space to think, some time and some space to think about things. And that's really important because you instantly, as soon as you get diagnosed, that fear kicks in, and the next thing you know, you're not even making rational decisions anymore. So I really wish that this was something that was available for people who are just diagnosed with cancer. So to break down their program, every morning we would have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Somebody would come and ring the bell, and we would be up and come down for vital signs. And while we're waiting for vital signs, they put lemons out, and then we make lemon water. So we'll squeeze a lemon into a cup and fill it with some warm water. And that's the first thing that we do in the morning. That helps to detox the body and just helps get things moving. And then we go into this exercise room with Mr. Shin. And Mr. Shin is like this 70-year-old guy, and he's in such good shape. I mean, he is in way better shape than me, and I exercise all the time. So we were just doing exercises that he taught, and I was there with a bunch of older people. So I was definitely one of the youngest that was there. So, these exercises were actually pretty challenging because I just had surgery in both of my legs, and so that was good. And so after exercise, we would go upstairs for breakfast at 8 o'clock. They cook everything for us. They cook all the meals, and that's really great because it takes so much stress off of you when you just have meals that are prepared. So these meals are all vegan and oil free. So that was interesting to be eating food and not cooking with oil. So they used a lot of alternatives, and the meals were delicious. So they gave us a cookbook that we can take home, and so that was nice. And they did have like some cooking classes as well that we could learn if we wanted to. So 8 o'clock was the meal, and then after that, we would go and do about 45 minutes of worship, and it was usually done by Dr. Emerson, who was the doctor that was there. And then after worship, we would have different things on different days. So they would have a schedule for us, and some of us went to lecture, and then the other people would go do their treatments. So I was getting IV vitamin C about every other day. And then on the days that I don't get IV vitamin C, I would have a charcoal bath with infrared sauna. On the IV vitamin C days, I would also have my hyperthermia treatments. Basically, the way that they do hyperthermia treatments was to put you in a bath and keep filling it with hotter and hotter water until they can induce a fever and a temperature of around 103 to 104. And then they would keep you there for about half an hour. So that treatment is super tiring, and the IV vitamin C takes like 3 or 4 hours or so. So sometimes we would still be hooked to the IV when we would have to go to lunch. Lunch would be at 1 o'clock. I think it was at 1 o'clock every day. And it was the same thing. They prepared everything for us, and it was a different meal every day. It was delicious. And then after lunch, usually we will then resume another treatment that they have scheduled for us. That also included like any therapy that we might need. They had a psychiatrist that was doing Zoom calls because she used to be at the center, but now she's living in a different country. So she was amazing and helped so much. And I feel like I owe her everything when it came to just realizing what I really needed, and healing spiritually. And so she really pointed me in the right direction. And so she was great. And then dinner would be around 6 o'clock. And for dinner, it would be something really, really light. And usually they just had a whole bunch of fruit for us because the whole idea is not to eat a heavy meal right before we go to bed. And so we eat very light dinner. And then we would have evening worship with Mr. Shin and his wife. And Mr. Shin is the one that helps us with the exercise. And they're really awesome. So we would sit there and kind of go over scripture, talk about the lesson, and play music and sing songs and everything. There was a lot of singing. And then after that, we would go to our rooms, and somebody would come and put a charcoal poultice on the liver and just wrap it with us.
All right. So what did you just make, Dr. Lee?
A charcoal poultice.
A charcoal poultice. Okay. So from here, then we're gonna put it in the Ziploc bag as opposed to the plastic wrap, and you can just drop it in there. Okay. And at this point, you may remove your gloves because it's not that dirty anymore. I mean, it's in the bag.
Yeah.
And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna close the bag, but not all the way.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave a little space open for the air to come out. And then you're gonna take a rolling pin, and the same thing as we did with the cabbage, we're gonna roll it out into all the corners until it becomes a nice square.
Throughout the day, they would make us some fresh juice, usually carrot juice, and then some sort of green juice that has kale and cucumbers. I'm not sure exactly what they put in it, but it would be those two different juices, and we would drink 3 of them, so about 48 ounces total a day of fresh juice. Then we also had tea. One of them was Essayach tea, and I think the other one was wormwood tea with mixed with something, but it was 2 different teas that we had to drink every day. So I need to go find the names of that. And then we would have to track our bowel movements and how many times we urinated and the color of our urine and how much water we drank that day. So everything was kind of kept track of. And then we would have our labs checked, and we would see the doctor every few days or so that he can go over our treatment plan specifically and just see how we're doing. So yeah, the program was really good, and I really felt so much better when I was there. I mean, all of my pain was going away. The pain that I had in my neck and my legs were improving so much. I think just not having to worry about cooking your own meals and not having to work and not having to do anything, and you're just kind of like in this Zen space. I feel like if I got to be somewhere like that, like if I could just go up in the mountains and just stay there for 3 months or so, or, for the whole year, and just have somebody cook all of my meals for me and not have to worry about anything, I don't think I would have cancer, but that's obviously unrealistic for most of us, and we unfortunately have to get back to reality. And but for me, it was just so peaceful being there. I mean, I really felt God's presence, and I was just in the Word every day. And the people that were there were just so amazing. They were so calm and peaceful, and they prayed over me, and they prayed about everything. It was like this whole other world. I just felt like this little sanctuary, and I wish I could have just stayed there, but I had to get back to my babies, and I missed them so much. I missed my family, and I was ready to go home, but it was just a wonderful experience, and I just can't describe how peaceful it was being there. I knew a lot of the stuff already, but I did learn a lot more. I was kind of struggling before I went. I had a lot of doubts about my faith, as I kind of touched about in my videos when I talked about my testimony, because it came with a lot of suffering after that, a lot of doubts, a lot of questions. And going to this center made me realize that it was really an act of God. It was just meant for me. And the main reason why it was meant for me was not because of the physical healing that I could get from it, which actually came as a side effect, but it was really the spiritual healing that I needed. So I learned about what's called the law of life, and Dr. Mark Sandoval, he wrote a book about this, and I'll link it below if you're interested in reading it. But it just kind of talks about health and why we get sick, and cause and effect. We have a creator, and we are the creature. So the creator is God, and we are humans, so we're the creatures, and he made us. And so most of the problem lies within the fact that we take from the wrong source, that we rely on other human beings to satisfy our needs. But really, what it is that we all have needs, because we're all human. And so we can't look for that need in another person. We have to go to God and take it from God, and He's our source. So the main idea is to get what you need from your source, which is God, and you charge your batteries that way, right? You fill yourself with his love and his kindness, his peace, his joy. You fill yourself with that. And then in return, when you are able to fill your own cup and you have that living water, then you can go and give it to somebody else. Of course, we can't do that if our cup is empty, right? If we have nothing to give, then we're just going to feel like we're in lack all the time. We are just a conduit, and whatever God gives us, we appreciate it, we take it, and we are good stewards of it, and then we can give back to others without just taking everything so personally, like, this is mine, it's mine, I'm gripping it. As soon as we start to take from the wrong places, and we start to attach ourselves to these things, then we're going to get disappointed, and we're going to hold in resentment and anger and all of these negative things, because we want to control people, we want to manipulate people, and we really just want to make ourselves feel better. And so we have to think about the motives of what we're doing. Is this really something that we want to get for ourselves? I mean, even when we think that we're doing good for someone else, it might be for the wrong reasons. It might be to get praise or to get somebody else's approval. I mean, what do you really do when nobody's looking? And so when you think about it from that point of view, it kind of takes off the stress of having to do things on your own, of achieving things on your own. Because if everything comes from God, then everything just goes back to Him. So I had a lot of issues before going, where I just really couldn't manage my stress. Like, I really struggled with having expectations of other people that made me hold on to a lot of resentment and anger. And I think that harboring those feelings really just makes me sicker, and if I can't release those negative feelings, I can't forgive, and I have resentment and anger in my heart, all of those things are going to eat me up, and I'm not going to get better because of that. That really hit home for me. when I went to this retreat, and it was like I kind of knew it, but then for some reason it just became crystal clear when I was there. I don't know if it was because of being alone and having a lot of time to think, and just um, doing all of the treatments and eating so well. It just really cleared me up, and I had such clarity that I would just never have at home, with all of these distractions. Coming home was, the bigger challenge, because you have to go back to life as it is, and you have to learn how to manage the stress in real life. Because I mean, that would be easy if you could just disappear and not have to worry about anything and not have to think about anything and have somebody do something for you all the time. So the doctor that was there asked me if I was able to just take off a year to focus on healing. And I'm like, no, I can't. I have a job and I have bills to pay and I have my family to take care of. I really wish that I could just take time off to heal. But after thinking about it and just realizing that God put me here for a reason, I may not like my job right now and it may not be what I want it to be, but I trust that He has a plan for me. This may be a stepping stone and it's just something that I have to do. But I realize that no matter what your situation is and how much you don't want to be in that situation, it's happening for a reason. And instead of fighting it and instead of just being so grumpy, like, oh, I have to work, oh, I have to do this, and I have kids, and I have to all these things to do. When I start thinking that way, I get so stressed, and my mind just goes into, this mode where I'm just so angry that I have to do all these things. Like, why me? Why this? Why that? Like, why do I have to do this? So when I start to get into that state, it's a very bad place to be, and it's like the opposite of gratitude. But when I start to flip it and I think to myself, okay, like I may not like where I am right now. I may want to be doing something else and I might need this and that. But if I have a reason and a purpose behind what I'm doing, and if I know that God is in control, I can do all these things with a merry heart. And I think that's really the key thing is having a merry heart. It reminds me of the Bible verse from Proverbs 17:22, where it talks about a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Like a medicine is a merry heart, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. So that's really a verse that resonated with me during the whole time I was there. And I have a lot of disease in the bones, so I was just thinking about having a broken spirit. So I realized when I came home that I really needed to just have more joy and to appreciate these little moments and to be happy, be merry. I was doing that a lot more when I came back, and I am pretty sure that my husband was enjoying the new wife that he got for a while. So um, the trick is just to have to keep it up. And I think the main thing is just constantly being in God's word and in prayer that will remind me to live this way. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and feel free to share this video with anybody that may be interested in going to Heartland. I highly recommend it if you're fighting cancer and if you're looking to do an alternative type of treatment. It's kind of based off of like the Gerson therapy is the way that I would put it. So it was great, and I really recommend it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye.